Hell, it's Base Trade TV.
Another YouTube exclusive video brought to you by Rifkin. And I gotta tell you, I hope these SCVs are careful about standing by those minerals, because it looks kind of shady to me. In the top left side, we've got the red Terran player. This is Demuslim. His opponent to the bottom right, a barcode, but identified as Rail. Now, we've actually been featuring a fair amount of Rail on the channel. He's just been popping up against all the top tier players. This is from ladder, so it's not from a tournament. I don't believe this has been broadcast anywhere before, so enjoy this exclusive cast. But Demuslim, not someone I get to see too often, frankly. Granted, he's an excellent streamer. He's on nearly daily alongside folks like Rotterdam, but for the most part, Demuslim hasn't partaken in any tournaments I've hosted in years. The last time I remember actually casting him directly was when he made WCS runs back for the qualifiers forever ago. Now, since then, he's become more of a streamer, now transitioning into being more of a caster. He still plays competitively here and there, and he's high enough, at least on the ladder, that he's hitting folks like Rail, or vice versa, Rail's hitting folks like Demuslim. But the reason I can use Rail for a bit of context is not only has he been competing in things we've been casting, and I've enjoyed casting, but he's also been doing very well against other really high-tier players that we could compare him to. So, on one hand, while I don't know where Demuslim is, the fact that he is fighting against Rail on ladder tells me all I really need to know. Now, for Rail's sake, we've had the pleasure of watching his PvZ. We've had the pleasure of watching his PvP. Again, that series with Mana was so good. If I do this right, do I know how to do YouTube? Somewhere up here, it should like link the video that I'm talking about, but he played the craziest PvP versus Mana I've seen in a long time. And of course, he's had other great accolades on the channel that I don't need to re-reference, but on the other side of it, I don't really recall too much of his TVP. I think there was a game he played against you, Thermal, but other than that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Also, I hope the sound of my eyeball squishing isn't getting into the microphone. I think I've developed an eyelash in my eye. I'm going to be casting this with one eye closed, just like a pirate, I suppose. But at any rate, TVP at its core still has a lot of its basic values no matter who's playing. The only way I've ever seen this matchup get changed up is if your name is Hero Marine, you're playing against Showtime in the WCS round of 8, and you decide to play mech for some weird reason. Outside of that, it's bio, it's all over the place. It drops and Vikings get involved because Colossus are a blind counter. The one exception I would say is actually during, again, another little bit of a name drop here, Marine Lord. I was casting a lot of his games for the WCS Challenger Qualifier Season 1 just recently, and he played a lot of TVPs that were just Widowmine drop heavy. And in fact, while I know that this VOD at the time, I'm uploading this before I upload the WCS qualifier VODs, and there was a video that you guys should look forward to. It's going to be a Marine Lord versus DNS. That was like the most insane TVP. It was so cool. I can't wait to get it uploaded. But this one looks pretty promising too. I'm excited to see how it plays out. I'm a big fan of both, so I'm pretty sure this will be a good game. It is going to be an Oracle through the Stargate, though, starting here out of Rail. As he heads across the map, he'll be able to do a little bit of scouting. Maybe wants to get aggressive with the Adepts. You know, sometimes Terran can get a little careless in the early game, and the door being open for just a second, the Oracle flying into the main base, these can all add up to a lot of damage very, very quickly. But we'll see if that ends up being a problem for good old Demuslim. So far, he knows about the Adepts, so he's brought the Hellions back. I do like that as a Cyclone follow-up to this too. That's going to be a very nice catch-all. So if the Oracle's here, well, the Cyclone can help melt it down. The Hellions, I'm not sure if they'll be able to deal with the Adepts. Might need to pull a couple SCVs. It's always a little bit rough in these low case numbers, but with the Cyclone, again, it's kind of the cinch to the defense here. Not revealed yet, though. Now he sees the attack coming. Nice scouting out of Demuslim. Is that going to be enough, though? Goes for the lock-on. Breaks it immediately. The Oracle not part of the fight. Couple SCVs pulled the buffer as expected. This is going to grab a couple of kills. Lock-on kills one of the Adepts, and he actually pushes Rail back off this. Loses about 2 workers and almost a Hellion. Of course, that Oracle has to get away because the Cyclone is so dangerous for it. The Banshee follow-up. Should highlight this. If you're a fan of TVP, then you know that this is more common than it is not. However, I would still say in the general sense of years of casting this matchup, Hook Banshees still catch me always a little off guard. At least a little strange. Not necessarily anything wrong with them, but it's something that is really risky that can sometimes pay off greatly. Now, if you're a Protoss player, by the way, pro tip, if you're afraid of Banshees, to be honest, you don't really need Phoenix, you don't have to get stalkers. One of the best ways to deny Banshee damage is just build a shield battery in your mineral lines. The shots fired is normally 2 to kill a probe, but when there's a shield battery, it takes 5. It takes so much longer for that Banshee to get any cost efficiency if there's a shield battery in play. My problem is, though, there is no shield battery in play. And while the Oracles and the Adepts cleaned up the Hellions, so there's not going to be some crazy two-pronged run-by, once that Banshee feels comfortable going in, it should be pretty easy to get kills. In fact, the Muslim has rallied his other Banshee outside his base. I thought they were going to pair up together, because one way you can get around the shield battery problem as a Terran player is, oh no, never mind. Forget anything I was saying, calculating, or predicting. The Muslim's pulling the boys, and he's going all in with this. Now, granted, he's left SCVs at home. His intentions, I don't think, are to lose or throw the game, but it is something where if the SCVs die, he has to have caused enough damage to have justified this gigantic worker pull. Because it's from a ladder game, I can't show you guys the income graph, but if you can imagine right now, it is spiking so heavily in Rail's favor, just because there's no mining going on at the natural base outside of a few mules. So third base gets set up. This should be an easy pick off. The Cloaked Banshees come in. They waited so long that they've got a lot of energy. Rail now, by the way, fully aware that this is an SCV bull. He cannot take this lightly. I think giving up the base might be the better option in this situation, but if he does, that means the siege tanks are going to find a position to root in. Double Banshees attack the probe lines. Remember, there was only 2 dead probes prior to this fight. The Banshees really haven't gotten that much done. 10 kills is not bad, but remember, he's pulled a lot of SCVs. This is pretty dedicated. I love the attempt to wall off here with the bunkers, choking in the Zealots. Here comes the Phoenix from the backside. And as long as enough Marines are alive, they can free those tanks, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. The Muslim's army is being broken here by Rail. Zealots take care of that front line. Bunkers get canceled. Tanks are killed, and oof. Are we in GG territory? Question mark? This is pretty rough. Now, I guess the Muslim did kill enough workers that at least they're on even footing. And by canceling the third base, he knows that his opponent won't have an edge over him. So he starts his own third CC in the wall. I think a good merit of players may have tapped out into Muslim's situation, but either he read the situation perfectly, knows exactly how much damage he did, which I would actually be inclined to believe. One of the beautiful things about watching Demuslim on his stream is he's actually very... he provides a lot of commentary and explanations to what he's doing. But regardless, I don't know what happened here or there, but in this situation, he's made the judgment call to either be stubborn or he knows exactly what happened this game. Either way, he's still in it. 2 more Cloaked Banshees coming in for round 2, but unfortunately now there are cannons up. While these won't stop the Banshees necessarily, it will keep them from getting a bunch of free kills. At least until the army can respond, and in fact, here comes that Phoenix. So the Banshee at the top side didn't really get too much more. This one gets shut down pretty quick. That's an expensive loss of Banshees, by the way. That's 4 Banshees for what was like pretty much 3 probes apiece, if that. Not so great. But sticking to his guns, literally, Stimpack and Bio is in fact going to come out of Demuslim, so no strange amount of Cyclones and Hellions coming out of this player. As expected, though, there's a Colossus follow-up. There's a bit of a heavier opening here with the Stargate than I think I would have expected. But Double Oracle's going to pay its way through the rest of the game. Phoenixes can crowd control tanks, as you witness through the battle out here. So we'll watch this carry on, and I think Rail definitely has an edge going to this part of the game. Also, and I realize the name Rail is slightly ajar. I'm going to try and fix that. Okay, you guys saw nothing. It looks perfect, okay? Colossus, though, very common now. It's a good way to melt through Marines. Sometimes people make the argument for Disruptor shots, and Disruptor shots are a lot like... The dynamic of Colossus and Disruptors, to me, is a similar dynamic to the Siege Tanks and Widow Mines, right? A Widow Mine can get such an explosively good shot that it's freaking amazing, but it also can get such a bad shot that it's worthless. Same with a Disruptor. Whereas in this case, tanks, or in Rail's case, Colossus, they're not going to be as much crazy high-end potential, but they're guaranteed low-end damage. They're guaranteed to get hits. Maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3, and if they get more than that, then it's better than the big, explosive, risky damage. So I kind of like the Colossus that have kind of come back to the matchup. It's been a long time since Colossus have been standard, in my opinion, but we are seeing it now pretty consistently in most versus Terran games. 4th base out of Rail to the upper side. Demuslim floats his 3rd down. This is actually pretty much fully saturated right off the bat. Replaces his wall with his own 4th CC, and I'm sure that'll transfer over as soon as he can. Upgrades are done, though. 1-1 for Demuslim. I don't believe there's an armory, so he's going to be... Oh, he does, actually. So he's just choosing not to go for 2-2 for the time being. Gas may be hindering him more than anything else. As of course he's getting combat shields, producing things like medevacs, getting those concussor shells, and there we go. 2-2 starts up. Upgrades are a pretty big deal for Terran, especially in this matchup. I also really like what Demuslim's doing here. This looks like random supply depot placement at a glance, but this will actually be a nice little choke. If there's going to be continued Zealot attacks and things like that, they're not going to be able to funnel through this so easily. Obviously, if you can go for a wall, why the hell not? But look at his cash. He's got to be spending this money on army. The last thing he can afford to do is make like a 7 supply depot wall. So in a pinch, I really believe that this should hold, or at least help him defend. But that's a big if. One of the other things that should be noted is there's been pretty consistent revelations out of Rail. So he has, for pretty much this last few minutes, known exactly where, what, and how many things are waiting for him. The grab of the Marines is kind of cute. Not a big deal. Colossus revealed, and this is terrifying. He wants to take his 4th base, but I mean, that base, while it might flow down, it's not likely to do too well in terms of survival if he can't stop this attack here. But as I stated, this little supply depot wall that's been revealed, by the way, will be a huge asset. The Zealots are going to have to funnel in. This will get the tanks some better splash. The Archon straight up might not even fit. Widow might help stake out that Archon as well. Very nicely done. But at the same time, Rail doesn't have to attack from this side. Rail could go up and around, and there's no siege tanks, no Widow mines, and no supply depots blocking him out over there. So Demuslim, recognizing this as a weakness, he scans to make sure he knows exactly where that army is. Rail keeps posturing up, but it's just taking a lot of free shots on Zealots. The SCVs are preemptively pulled. Demuslim was ready to fight. He was super ready to fight. Rail obviously not taking the engagement just yet, biding his time. Ghost Academy's finishing up, and having EMPs will be incredibly beneficial when fighting a Protoss army, but especially one that has energy-based units like Sentries and Phoenix and, well, maybe the Oracles, but let's be real, the Oracles are just casting Revelation at this point. They're not going to be doing too much else. I don't know if he wants to bait a fight or if he's just being risky, but some of the Marauders and Marines segment out to the south. 4th base getting saturated by Rail behind this, so his income's just going to look fantastic. And while Demuslim sets up a planetary fortress, you know, he could fight over here defensively. He can't really push in to defend this base. He may have been better off just leaving this command center floating. So sadly, that's going to go down and awkwardly supply block him. But buying a little more time. 2 ghosts are about to come out, and if you land, it doesn't have to be great EMPs. Just decent EMPs. Then he's got a pretty good chance of taking on this army. But those Zealots are pretty well upgraded. 2-1 for Rail versus the 2-2 of Demuslim. And here he is coming up that top side, as I had talked about earlier. Without these supply depots to help cover for him, these Zealots won't get choked in the same way. So he's going to kite back best he can. Couple more free shots. Widow Mines deal bonus damage to shields. Looking for that EMP. Not quite getting the best hit, but he does get a lot of the army. Demuslim continuing to scan. It's so important he knows where this army is at all times so he can try and take an engagement. But forced out here to the open. This open field is a great spot for Rail. But Demuslim's got to do something soon, because he can't fall behind on bases and economy, because maybe he crushes this army, but if Rail has a 7k bank behind it, then it doesn't really matter. Upgrades are also finishing up too. Not only does he now have Storm, he does have +2 armor in about a few seconds. This Ghost Control is going to be crucial for the fight. EMP's looking for a couple of decent shots in that front line. They pop off of the Zealots. Here we go. SCVs get pulled into the action. Phoenix wrap around the backside. No Ghosts, no EMPs. Feels bad, man. But Demuslim with the Concave is pushing Rail back. And Rail, of course, now going to fall to the Colossus, getting micro to the back line while this goes on. But the Marauders stutter step into the Stalkers. They take down the Immortal. And the counter push is looking pretty good out of Demuslim. He's got to be careful not to go too close to the sun here. The Colossus are kiting pretty well. He's taking a lot of damage on this bio, but he knocks down that last Colossus. Now only a couple Stalkers falling back home. And while Rail might have a 5th base, where's your money? Where's your army? Demuslim's counter push was pulled with SCVs, but he sent some of them back mining. The army is pretty badly injured. This is a risky move out of his part, actually. You've just gotten a lead in this tug-of-war that is TVP. The last thing you want to do is walk all of your Ghosts and Marauders who are at like 5 health into Zealots waiting to charge into you, into Immortals waiting for your siege tanks. But he knows that he wants to keep that pressure on. He wants to take advantage and press the attack. So Fleet Beacon gets targeted down. Robo gets next. Colossus about to spawn from this too. Unfortunate timing. The Marine's going to fall back. EMPs do hit the army. That was really nice. The Immortal loses its shield and barriers popped as well. The Immortals going to clean up the tanks, however, before going down. Colossus fights on that ramp, and it's looking pretty good, but Marauder reinforcements stim their way across the map. Immortal gets picked off. And, oh, can we take a moment to breathe? Because this got so crazy so quick. as he does some damage to the Nexus. I mean, this was a bit of a freebie. I don't think Rail was expecting to do anything with this. So, yeah, I didn't transfer a lot of probes. Said, okay, I thought I had you on the contain, then you countered me. Now he's got to defend his own bases, very similar to what he was doing here to Demuslim, but now it's Demuslim doing it to him. Feedback takes out one of the ghosts. Nice moves there out of Rail. Colossus falls, though Demuslim picks it off, and that's not even going to be a GG. Ooh. Congratulations to Demuslim on this victory in the TVP. Thank you guys for watching some more of this YouTube content. I hope you've been enjoying it. I look forward to doing more, but I should note really quick as an update, we have about 17 hours of footage I need to upload from some of our Twitch VODs. So this may be one of the last, like, quote-unquote YouTube exclusive casts for about a week or two. But after I've got all of the actual Twitch VODs ported over, I'll try and get back to doing some more of these. I really have a lot of fun. So thank you all for watching. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Make sure to subscribe. Comment on, you know what? Actually, here's what I'd like you to comment. Just comment the word butts. I don't care about it. Just write butts in the comment section. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.